Hello, everyone, and welcome to Toku Portal Podcast. I'm Ryan. With me is
Drago.
and oh, hey, what timing? Uh,
Yeah, sorry.
uh, we
Oh,
we literally just hit start.
oh, nice.
We were gonna do Beast Morphers while waiting for you to show up.
Yeah, I was like, well, they could start. I mean, Ryder's gonna be the last one anyway.
Right,
That's cool. Go ahead.
we were literally just starting. Uh,
Nice.
Welcome, Zero.
Hey, everyone. I made it.
You somehow made it.
Yeah, I know, to this insane experiment. Let's see if this format works out.
Yeah, we're doing all of our normal weekly podcast in one super podcast tonight, and see how that works out for us. Uh, So we're opening up with Beast Morphers because Drago is on a time limit. so, uh, we open up with Nate working on some new Ranger tech. So it's like gold themed, no foreshadowing there. He wants to go collect more bugs DNA samples, but he can't go anywhere without a babysitter still because this show pays attention to continuity.
And yeah, it was nice to see that they still remember that.
Uh, yeah, so Zero, to catch you up, Nate is the scientist who builds all the Ranger gear, and a couple episodes ago, he happened to be in the marketplace when the monster attacked, and the commander yelled at him for it and told him he can't go anywhere without a bodyguard anymore. Because if he dies, they lose their Ranger gear.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, that is an interesting setting, but what I'm gonna say is don't keep cutting back to me because, like, I haven't watched the Power Rangers or Sentai stuff, so I'm probably just gonna join in for the Rider one.
Uh,
Yeah, because if you keep stopping to explain shit to me, it's gonna take forever.
have you seen Go
But
Busters?
no,
Okay.
I actually wanted to check that out, but it's like, yeah, I hadn't. I actually wanted to because the beginning stuff seems interesting in Ghostbusters. It's just like I've never had time to go back and watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Uh,
bad. So yeah, I'll just probably jump in at the end with the writer stuff.
okay. Uh, so the villains are building a gateway for the cyber dimension to bring Evox in, uh, but Scrazzo can't build a robotic host good enough to suit Evox's form or whatever. So they plan to kidnap Nate and have him finish it, since they stole the supplies to do it from him anyways.
So basically, the villain's plan is pretty much like, okay, we stole all this tech that he built. Let's go get the scientists as well.
Right.
Uh,
So they send out a Robotron to distract the Rangers to leave Nate alone and vulnerable. So they pop in and nab him. Uh, and they don't do that thing where they yell at Nate for not going home right away because it wouldn't have mattered anyways. And they seem to recognize that. Uh,
yeah, the fact that it was mere seconds after like the Rangers left, Blaze and Roxy showed up to kidnap him. That was kind of hilarious.
uh, so some unique fight footage. Ben and Betty invented a tracking device, and they use it as a coin to decide what movie they're gonna go see. And they flip it, and it lands on the truck that the Robotron is hijacking for the Morph-X. So back at the base, when they find out that Nate's gone missing and they don't know where the Robotron is, here comes Ben and Betty crying because they lost their tracking device. Which the Rangers go, wait, you left a tracking device on the car?
Yeah, and I was also there was one thing that I noticed is that the Rangers were panicking as hell because Nate was missing, and the commander this time is like, okay, don't underestimate Nate. Wait, because that actually is a different reaction compared to like what it was few episodes ago when she scolded Nate for not leave Great Forces as a bodyguard, which I found a bit weird.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I was trying to like justify it as like, well, in the moment when Nate's in front of her and she was thinking about what could happen, you got that like motherly worry. But I just don't see why she's so calm about it here. Like, I guess panicking won't help the situation, but she doesn't seem as worried as she was when she is in when she declared he needed a babysitter all the time.
Yeah. Okay. That was
Yeah.
actually this episode. There's not much to comment, to be honest.
No, there isn't. So they find the warehouse that Scrozzle is like build his Stargate into. Uh, Nate finishes building Jay's body and also stealthily built himself like a communicator that uses to like summon one of the guns that he freshly built to like shoot the Stargate and interrupt Evox's transference, and then jumps into it and activates it to infuse the DNA samples he got into himself, turning him into the Gold Ranger. Uh, what's interesting to note is that this Ranger is Beetle themed, but the American adaptation is playing him off as a praying mantis instead.
Okay. One thing that I really liked in this thing is the CG, not only the CGI but the shot and cinematography of how Evox is just slithering into the Stargate was pretty cool.
I love that you also just called it a Stargate.
Oh, okay. Shit. Cybergate.
Like, I was joking, but then you just legit called it that.
Yeah. I mean, there was a TV show called Stargate. I just remembered that.
Yeah, that's why I'm calling it a Stargate. I'm like comparing it to that.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah, Cybergate.
Yeah, the
Basically,
Cybergate.
so the cinematography in that was pretty cool. I really like that, and also the fact that they had literally the villains literally have the same parts to build the morphing cube thing that they had in episode one. So Nate's best idea just blasted so that only Morphex and the neural anina is there to turn it into a morphing device, which is pretty cool. But one thing I still don't understand is why a praying mantis.
Like we were talking about last week, you looked at I sent you pictures of what the Zord looks like, and you said, "Okay, yeah, I can see how that resembles a praying mantis."
Okay, yeah, that's understandable, but I feel that they had one good enough explanation they could have given is that Nate had both beetle and praying mantis DNA. Maybe like he could have had both, because that would explain it a bit better in my opinion. But yeah,
Nah.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess they could have done that, but they went with like, oh, he got the praying mantis, and Steel got the beetle.
yeah.
Uh,
And yeah, I really like the fact that they also showed the Silver Ranger a steel, which they hid from the trailer,
right.
because that was cool.
Like, this has been foreshadowed and built up really nicely. Sometimes six members are like just sprung on us the episode of, or like they're only teased like the episode before. This was built up since like episode 3 or something, where
Yeah,
it was pretty like we could easily see like, hey, Nate could be a candidate for being the sixth Ranger, and like they foreshadowed it well enough that yeah, we're not surprised to see that he is. It makes perfect sense.
yeah, it was the logical conclusion to have the things was built up with him, like with him having wanting to have a brother figure, and also the fact that how we were shown he's capable of other stuff. And even in the Beast Bot episode, like how we also saw how he wanted a Beast Bot, now he has everything. Like it was just a natural conclusion to that thing, and which I really enjoyed.
Uh, and you even like predicted how they would explain Steel, like how he has human DNA in him, Nate's human DNA.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised they were gonna actually go in with that,
Yeah.
because I don't know, I'm just surprised. Like for the past few seasons of Power Rangers, like, it's except excluding Dino Charge, even Dino Charge was a bit more wonky for some of it. They don't really do a good job of explaining stuff. So it kind of surprising that they are actually taking their time and then building things up instead of just having it show up one random stuff, which I really do think is pretty good. And yeah, even and the morph sequence and the warehouse fight scene with Blaze and Roxy was pretty cool as well.
The so like what really stood out to me was when Nate and Steel like go to finish off the Robotron together and they pull out their guns, and then Steel steps in front of Nate and he pushes his head aside saying, "Excuse me." It's like, okay, we're doing that gag. That is staying.
Yeah, and it makes in this one, in what do you call it, in Go Busters, like Jane used to push like
Jay.
beat Jay's tag, yeah, the Jay around to do stuff, but here it's more polite.
Right, like Jay was more forceful. He was like, "You're in the way," whereas Nate is just like kind of, "Excuse me, sir."
Yeah, I really like Steele's personality as well. Like him acting like a like the macho man, like says superhero from like pre 90s. I think like the golden age back in the day is is really fitting, and I really enjoy that part of him. And he feels like Jay, but like a bit in an Americanized way.
My only gripe with Steel is I'm not a big fan of his voice.
Yeah, fair. To be honest, like I do like his voice as well, because because of the kind of like golden age superhero feeling that he has, and I feel his voice is kind of perfect for that. But if you want a serious character, then that isn't
Oh, I'm
gonna
not a
work.
problem with like him having like a bit of a silly voice to reflect his character. I'm just not entirely feeling this one, but I'm sure I'll
Okay.
get used to it. Like it's a new character.
Yeah, understandable.
Uh, so it's not actually until the end of the episode where they decide he needs a name, to which he pitches Mr. Fantastic, super handsome, something made of
Strong,
steel, strong,
strong as steel.
strong as steel. That's what Mr. Fantastic, super handsome, strong as steel. And Nate says, "All right, let's just call you Steel for short."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I okay. Now since like I wanted to talk about this entire episode. Okay. So basically, the episode theme was not do not underestimate Nate. So it's kind of hilarious how real life reflects what's happening in the episode. Because okay, what happened is that since Nate was revealed to be the Gold Ranger,
Yeah.
people thought, like, people some a section of the Power Rangers people thought he was a wimp. And he was like, how in usually in like all the extra rangers are usually like the coolest people out there or something like that, as far as like
Li-
physical appearance go and all this stuff.
Like
So
Tommy or like
or
Wild Force
Jason,
Silver or
or like Shadow Ranger.
yeah, like all these like super badasses.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, okay, it was kind of like people were underestimating him, like, this guy's no can't be the Gold Ranger, like, because usually six Rangers are supposed to be cool, and like they just show.
I have a
So
question.
yeah.
How do these people feel about Cam?
Do I don't think they have seen. I Okay. Okay, the reason why I feel these people are okay with Cam is because in the previous episode, like, they have seen him break bricks and be a competent fighter.
Okay.
So that is already a thing. So and then also the fact that they got a big push from, the guy who played Justin in Turbo,
Yes. Blake Austin, I think.
Blake Foster. Yeah.
Foster. Sorry.
Okay, the guy was also making a really terrible. He was also actually having gripes with that, and he used a lot of mean slash used gay as an insult towards the guy who was playing Nate and stuff. So he was also underestimating him as a character, and then that to see that and to see the episode, like how he proved himself to be a Gold Ranger, and he's also good in his own right. That was really that expectation going from a low expectation from a person to actually, to see he's a competent is was really cool in this episode, both in real life and in the series, which I found pretty. I don't know. It was pretty. What do you call it? What's the opposite of ironic?
Uh, Convenient. Hold on.
Yeah, sort of like that. But
Uh, Logical, sincere.
let's go with convenient. Like, people having a low opinion of him before the episode to actually, like, show
Oh,
that.
congruent.
Yeah, that's the word, I guess. Yeah. So it kind of just made the episode feel like, it mirrored some past parts of real life as well, which which is pretty, like, it's pretty good in my opinion. Like, I don't know, it just felt pretty good to see that play out.
Right. Like, I'll admit, when I was watching like the fight scene, I was thinking like Nate is doing this. Like Nate knows how to fight because we aren't actually shown him fighting. But at the same time, I was thinking he lives at Grid Battle Force. He designed the simulation.
Yeah, and also the fact that it's also the fact that the moves that they gave him or the scenes they used were kind of believable. Like, he was not fighting like with 100% technique or something like that. Mostly he was just shooting, or he was sliding, or he was jumping around.
Right. Like he doesn't know how to
It's
fight, but he's like played Power Ranger in the lab when he's alone.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, so that's the reason why it was believable as well. So I mean, jump. eh, No matter what, if you are once you are a Power Ranger, you can jump pretty high. So that I don't. I am saying that the jumping is comes with the morphing grid. Sorry, flipping in the air while jumping comes with the morphing grid. Except that part, I thought that rest of the things were like pretty believable for Net to do.
Yeah, like it didn't. It wasn't. He wasn't doing anything that's so far fetched that made me go, okay, I. Why is Nate able to do that? Like it was all things that were like, okay, you know what, I could stretch that Nate can do some of this stuff.
And yeah, and overall, just really good episode in my opinion.
Yeah. Uh, this was a solid episode. They didn't like make any big deal of it like past series would do for a new member introduction, but I think that worked to this episode's benefit. They played it straight and kept it simple.
And sometimes having not complex arc also technically like makes for the show's benefit.
Right. Like
And okay,
I was gonna say,
it
right?
was
Like
set up well.
yeah, like they've been foreshadowing this happening for the past few episodes, and like we all knew someone was going to be the new member, and Nate has Nate's been built up for it, or at least has been wanting to be it.
And also that, what do you call it? Okay, what it's also, you know how in Rider, when a established character actually should become the secondary rider, or
Uh,
even Cam from Ninja Storm who becomes a rider, no, a ranger, or like the Trent from Dance Thunder. Those characters were already there in the show before they turn into a ranger.
yes.
Yeah, so all those, I mean, that's kind of something that I like in a season when they can take one character who is already there and transforms. But in like compared to other seasons where like they just show up, because it makes it so that, you know, the relationship they actually have with each other is more believable than instant friends, which I do enjoy.
Uh, so I do have a question about the pacing before we end Beast Morphers. Uh, how so they're still bound by like Nickelodeon's contract or something?
Yeah, Nickelodeon has like a bad habit of having a hiatus between
But
the summer and the fall.
are they still going to are they going to keep are they going to do the split seasons like Neo Saban was doing, or are they just gonna say do like half the show and then come back for the other half, all in like the same season?
Basically, it's called season two, but
It
yeah, it's a base. Yeah.
it so
So what?
it's sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say what they have said is like Beast Morphers season two, rather than
So it's still going to
anything else.
fly
I
under
don't
the
know.
same Beast Morphers banner, but it's just going to be
Yeah,
like part two.
yeah.
Okay.
That's how the staff has been treating as such.
So uh officially is are both halves just going to be like the total of season 26, or is it still going to be like officially season 27?
I think officially they're gonna consider it season 27, but technically it's just season 26.
Right.
Or wait, or 24, I guess, because Ninja
Yeah, yeah.
Steel and Super Ninja Steel and all those things.
Yeah, like that's Nickelodeon is making this way more complicated than it needs to be, honestly.
Yeah, it's Nickelodeon's like, you know, mandatory, like it can only have 22 episodes and is kind of eh. But also the fact that what the previously Bandai of America wanted to do was they wanted to release one toy and then have it run for 2 years instead of having it run for one. So they also had a stake in it. So Saban had to follow that.
Yeah, do we know how long this contract is for?
2021.
Okay. Uh, so we could be seeing a change later on. All right.
Yeah. So if Hasbro has more pull towards the season, then yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, any final thoughts on Beast Morphers?
It was a good episode. Like straight up, it was a nice end note to end the mid-season finale of. Okay, mid-season finale. I'm right with that term. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty cool conclusion of the established arc, and now the fact that we have established all the characters really well. Like we know how they act. We have a baseline and we have the foundation for like the all the characters right now. So I'm pretty excited like what they're gonna do later on. I hope like they actually follow up with like some sort of development once the season comes back. And with how the last thing about the Cybergate being functional and Evox wanting to capture Steel has been like the plot line. So I think like we are gonna spend some time with the Golden and Silver Ranger and then continue on with the story. And I'm pretty excited considering I've heard that Austin St. John is coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's gonna be joining. He's gonna be in Beast Morphers later on, maybe for like a crossover or something.
That'd be cool. He could even like. Is he just like showing up for like a special, or do we know if he's gonna be like a consistent cast member?
I think he's gonna show up for this for a special because the filming is almost done. I guess, or maybe like he's the consistent cast member in like season 2. Because Austin St. John has the last time we know what he has done with Power Ranger recently for the video game he voiced Jason.
All right.
And also the fact that potential spoilers ahead. Just a warning. You could mute us for like 5 minutes if you want, or 3. Okay, well. Brendan Mahia, the guy who plays Dino Charge Red, is in New Zealand, and Austin St. John has been confirmed to come back. And the guy who played Red Ranger and Dino Thunder.
Oh, I know what's happening. I know exactly what's happening. Okay. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so
Okay. Okay. So that's it for Beast Morphers. This was a really solid episode. So is it going on hiatus now? When does it return?
it's gonna return on fall, I think.
Ooh, okay.
After summer.
Okay, so we'll return with Beast Morphers when the show returns. So
Pretty much.
we'll be moving on to the next show now. Drago, you have a good one.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Alright, so next up we'll be talking about Ryusoulger. I am trying to get Zero's attention because he has us muted. And I don't feel like talking about this by myself. It's much easier when you have someone to talk to and can convey the information to. He was here with me for Ryusoulger last week, so he kind of has an idea of what's going on. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
we just finished Beast Morphers.
Yeah, I know. I was just on the YouTube site,
Okay.
seeing if the audio and everything was working, which it is. So that's
Oh,
good.
good. So the audio quality must be assured.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's good.
So we're gonna jump into Ryusoulger real quick. I know you haven't been watching it, but I kind of gave you the rundown last week, so you can at least follow along.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't watch this episode again because, like, I'm just a writer. I thought, like, more of them would show up because they've been like, oh, yeah, we haven't been showing up. And then we do this and nobody's here.
Decade said he was going to be busy tonight, and Vashi, I finally heard back from him. He got tied up.
Oh, that's
like he was planning on being here, and then something happened.
Okay, I mean, it's fine. It's just the second part of the thing anyway, right?
It's
just continue.
It's the start
of
it's like the start of a new arc, actually. It introduces some new characters. But first
Okay, I
off,
mean,
oh, go on.
yeah. Go ahead. No, no, say your bit. Like I haven't seen the episode, so I can't really say.
Right. Well, the first thing that happens in the episode is that Red Ranger's dinosaur mech, like it can shrink down to about human size, so it can fit into buildings and such. And I guess it was watching TV, and it can talk now.
What?
Yeah, it's straight
What the
up
hell?
like Blue and Pink are wondering where Red is, and it walks at them, tells them, "Oh, he went out," and they're like, "Wait, what?"
That's so random. Um, I guess they needed another character, but that's a weird ass way to introduce that.
uh, Meanwhile, Red is contemplating jumping off a bridge.
He's what?
He's contemplating jumping off a bridge. He wants to go swimming around the world. So we find out that the Ryusoulgers are hundreds of years old. Because Ko mentions that he is 209, but in his entire life he never left the village before, so he doesn't know much about the outside world. Uh, Elsewhere, like Green and Black are training, and Green mentions like, "Hey, you're really good at one-on-one, but what if there were a ton of enemies?" And Black kind of gets us like, "Well, you want to join those others?" And Green just mentions like, "Well, at least work with them." And then Black kind of tells you like, "People will betray you." And just kind of drops that mentality out of nowhere. Uh, it's weird to me because he never expressed any that kind of like idea before of like he just doesn't trust anyone. It just before up till now it's just always been like he disagree. They had different ethics and ideologies, and so he didn't agree with their manner of doing things. But now it sounds like oh he
Yeah,
just yeah.
yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I was kind of doing something. Anyway, um, yeah, maybe they're just retooling the whole show because like they literally just added, oh yeah, your mech can now talk and you're now hundreds of years old.
Right.
So maybe they're just like retooling everybody's backstory for the coming arc. I don't know. It seems a little like it seems too deliberate to be dropping all the changes in one episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the like hundreds of years things comes from. Like I'm not sure what it's going. I don't think it's going to change anything. Uh, because like even if it's meant to be flavor, it doesn't feel like it's even there. I don't have any indication that these characters are actually like that old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll come up in like backstory or something later on, like in the later half, or maybe it's just one of those like weird aspects that's just there. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how. Like they wouldn't have mentioned it unless it has some relevance. So it's probably gonna play some part later down the line, but I guess we'll have to wait and see for that.
I guess. Uh, so while Green and Black are talking, they see a girl like being chased by Druidons, so they save her. Uh, Meanwhile, Red and Uwe follow this like music that he hears, and they go into like an amusement park, and they see uh, a Minosaur attacking people. So it's like, okay, we gotta fight. And they get taken out by this like loud scream that Red like protects himself from with earplugs, and he just pretends to pass out. And they get dragged into like, I don't know, a storage room with a bunch of people. I'm not sure what the plan was here. Uh, so we have two new characters here. Sisters. I'm trying Cardina and Fita. Uh, so Red, he like
Yeah. I mean, like, I know you're like trying to throw to me and be like, all right, I'm like, I have no idea. I've never
okay.
seen this.
So we got two new characters and they're sisters. All
Yeah, yeah,
right,
I got that one. I
they're
got that one.
aliens.
Um, what is with like the alien members whenever there's like a goddamn like dinosaur center?
I don't know,
Whatever.
aliens. Uh, there's also so Ko, when he's like escaping, runs into a villain who's like a throwback to Wizard.
Really?
Yeah,
Which
so
one?
uh, he like he clearly like is sporting a magician theme, and when Red runs into him, like he says it's showtime.
Nice. That's pretty.
Yeah, my whole life is all showtime.
Oh, that's good. That's pretty good callback.
Uh, it like does some like lighting effects, and it does like the four wizard colors. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it feels like it. Uh, and then he hypnotizes kids into fighting Red, because what's Red gonna do? Beat up a bunch of little kids?
I mean, he could, but I don't think that's the type of show this is.
Uh, uh, so all the characters eventually like get onto the same page. Like, okay, the sisters are separated and looking for each other, and also they're aliens. Red comes back and he's like, "All right, I know where the other sister is." So after regrouping, they go on the offensive. Uh, we get a neat fight, good choreography. The Druidon who makes the monsters, they run into him and they're like, "Let the prisoners go," and he's like, "Oh, all right. Did you think it would really be that easy?"
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I mean, whenever like the monsters just call back to, it's like, why are you even saying that, bro? Like,
like,
when did
like,
you think that would ever work?
what, what was your plan? uh, the monster grows giant, so Green and Black break out the sister, while Red, Blue, and Pink form the Megazord to go fight the monster. Uh, but it overpowers them using a trick where it flies up in the sun's path, so when they look up to see it, they're blinded by the sun. Then Green and Black jump in and join them into the mech fight, and they decide to use the monster's plan against them. They use a power up on a large scale to like make the ground around them like really shiny and reflective. So when the monster jumps up into the sun's light, it looks down and like the sun's light is reflected back into its eyes, so it just falls to the ground.
I mean, at least they're acknowledging that they're fighting the real world. I guess that's something.
Yeah. Uh, And then we end on a mostly positive note, but one of the sisters makes a passing comment about something that. Oh, refers to the mechs as Kishiryu, which is what they are. But then Blue just kind of shyly observes, like, we never refer to them as Kishiryu in front of them. So like clearly hinting that they know something. Uh, they set it up to like be suspicious, but there's literally no reason to suspect these characters, so it's unclear if
I mean, maybe there it's just showing that like Blue pays attention to the details, but it's probably hinting that they're that it's like going to lead to a further plot line with these characters.
oh they're totally going to lead
I
to a
mean, that
further.
probably explains that. That probably also explains the hundreds of years thing.
All right, and then the ending dance sequence. You know, Sentai usually does that.
Yeah.
So this one has a special surprise. It starts off with the Rio soldiers doing it as normal, and then cuts to like a live show where the Lupin Rangers and Pat Rangers are doing it.
What the hell? That's a random inclusion.
Yeah, I get. I don't know why, but I think they just did it at a live show or something. Uh, Lupin X like gets really into it. Like he starts doing backflips and shit.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, like, that's pretty awesome anyway.
Uh, all right. So that's Rio Soldier. There wasn't much to talk about, anyways. If Decade or was here, we probably or Vashi would probably just been talking about theories about what where the show's gonna carry these two new characters.
I mean, you can give yours if you want. Maybe they can give theirs when they come back next week or something.
Uh, like so they're not just aliens; they're like princesses of some other planet. And the Druidons fled the Earth when the dinosaurs were going extinct, so that they would avoid the same catastrophe. So I'm thinking that like these two characters are from a different planet that like the Druidons went to and conquered instead.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, that would be interesting, actually.
And since
Like they could become like anti-heroes or something later on.
well, they know what the Kishi Ryu are, so I'm wondering if their planet had their own Kishi Ryu that fought and failed.
Oh man, that would actually be kind of interesting. I mean, like, I guess more Q Ranger-esque, where it's like, yeah, they just have their own heroes on different planets. That'd be kind of cool.
There was also because this show is taking a lot of aspects from Kyo Ryuger for marketing purposes. There was the Kyo Ryuger movie where the crux of the movie was some girl singing a song that was important for some reason. Uh, and there was an entire like they got an entire new mech out of it. Uh, so since these two princesses also have like this song that they sing, I'm wondering if they're going to like introduce a new mech that they give to the Ryu soldiers.
I mean, that would be an interesting connection, but like, it depends on how hard they want to tie back into like doing the same thing as the other Sentai.
Right.
I mean, if they do that, then it's like, okay, you're literally just making the other show again. I'm like, is that even necessary?
That's what my problem was when we were just getting like the teaser images and such. But now that we're watching, it's like it's very much a different show that uses a lot of same themes. Like the team colors are exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just another take, which is cool. Um, Considering it's just a theory, I guess we'll just have to wait and see,
Right.
right?
But I think it would be cool if like their planet was attacked by the Jorodons and their own like Kishi Ryu and their own like Ryu soldiers tried fighting against them and failed, and like there's one they have the one Kishiryu left that's still alive, and so they like bring it to Earth to give to these guys.
Yeah, I mean that's one interesting way to introduce a new mech. That'd be pretty fun backstory, I guess. Or not fun, but pretty good.
But overall, yeah, this was a good episode. It just sets up more plot than it actually gives. All right.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see because it seems like, as you said, it's just the beginning of the arcs. Unless more stuff happens, it's all just conjecture at this point.
Right. So, moving on to our last segment, the show you actually know anything about. Or Kamen Rider
Yeah.
Zi-O. Uh, so it is April 28th or something. Uh, it
Yeah,
is
28.
yeah, it is Sogo's birthday, and Waz is unsure how to celebrate his glorious Demon King's day of birth. Uh, in fact, when Sogo does like come down the stairs because he slept in, and the uncle goes to say happy birthday to him, Waz like straight up cuts him off like, "No, not yet," and the uncle kind of like gets the message. I honestly thought that was a pretty good moment between them. It's like, oh, I see what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that like the uncle is so accommodating with all like Soga's weirdo friends, but I'm like,
He's glad
to be
that
fair, like,
he's glad that
yeah, his
Sogo has
body.
friends. So seeing one of them like actually care for Sogo's birthday is like, you know what? That's great.
Yeah, the uncle's really good. Whenever he just comes in, like he's such a good support character. Uh, Plus, this is kind of like Waz being silly. Like this is the episode of Waz being silly, so I'm like, I'm gonna give him a pass.
The uncle has a name, people. We just never use it. Uh, it's Junichiro. Uh, so the uncle pulls out some of Sogo's old grade school yearbooks. Uh, like and points out like, yeah, remember Sogo was like 10. He was talking about being king even back then. And Gaze and Tsukuyomi kind of comment on how weird that is, but then Sogo's like, no, 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 check out this guy. He wanted to be an Oni.
Yeah, that was so interesting. I'm like, oh yeah, he was slightly less crazy when you put this asshole beside him. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh, check out this guy. I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be like the kid who becomes like Hibiki from Hibiki? I'm like, they just
No.
don't add up. And then like he shows up on later. I'm like, oh, it's his like pupil. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's, his name is, Tsutomu. Uh, he was kicked out as being an Oni actually. So, or Uru, rather, approaches him and turns him into another Hibiki. So this is, I believe this is the first time where the Another Rider is someone who wanted to be a rider. Not counting Shinobi because he didn't know that that was an option for him at the time.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, the later arcs interesting people to be the like another writer. I mean, I guess technically they're all interesting. It's just like the latest
The
arc
basketball
have been
player
interesting.
from the Blade one was interesting. The very first Another Rider.
Oh, X-Aid one? You mean like
No,
Blade? Blade?
build.
Oh, Build, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, you said Blade.
okay,
Okay,
sorry.
fair enough. Yeah,
Sorry.
he was interesting.
No. Well, I disagree. Like,
Well,
he was a random
well,
basketball player that nearly got hit by a car, and that was his entire character.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, I maybe it's just I like the suit's use of like the build power so much. I
Oh, the Another
like
Rider
overlook
suits
how boring.
themselves are interesting.
Yeah, I mean his use of the build powers was so much better than Build ever used it, so I just overlook that.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just talking about like the characters themselves, who they were before they became the Another Rider. Because like for the XA one, you had the father whose son was terminally ill, so it's like, all right, there, that's interesting. Uh, and then lately, we've been getting characters like connected to those Rider shows themselves. Shinobi himself is another Shinobi just before he became a Rider. Uh, Quiz's dad was another Quiz. Like, I just feel like the random basketball player at the very start of the show is
I mean, to
weirdly.
be fair, it's like the first episode. You don't really have time
Uh,
for like insane backstory and stuff because like you're introducing like everybody else. It has to be like super generic,
mm,
kind of. I mean, like it didn't have to be, but it was because there's all this other crazy shit going on.
I feel like they could have done a bit better with it on. Like maybe they didn't. They didn't need to do Another Rider in the first episode. Like
I mean, to a writer show, you have to show the villain.
they could have shown us the Time
So
Jackers and shown us like a more
look,
bully.
that would make sense, but that's thinking of like Western style heroes. This is tokusatsu, like Toei tokusatsu, which means
Right.
like it has to be like the monster of the week is episode one. You
Yeah,
know, like
I get that. It's just I feel like is with all like the good like choices for who gets to be in Another Rider, like the random basketball player just stands out to me as too generic and plain.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, I agree. His backstory is nothing, but I guess he did his job, so whatever.
Uh, so seeing the name Hibiki in the yearbook, someone goes, "Hey, that's the name of a Kamen Rider. Maybe we should go look for him next." And this marks another special occasion. This is the first time they actively go looking for a rider before another rider shows up, and another rider that shows up happens to be the one for the rider they're looking for.
I mean, yeah, it's the first, but it's like it depends on like how you want to write the story. Like this one really doesn't have that much of a story going forward, so it's like you have to make people run into the story, right? Like there's nowhere to branch into it, so it explains why they
Well,
have to be more
I'm not
active.
criticizing it. Like,
Yeah.
like I can see how like it comes off as kind of lazy story writing, but it's like now you get thrown into the plot. Here you go.
I mean, technically it's not lazy because they're being active, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
I'm pointing out that like this is the first time they actively go looking for another rider, or rather, they go looking for a rider before the another rider shows up.
yeah, yeah, fair enough.
Because any other time they didn't care until the another rider was already there. But they recently made the decision to go actively collecting the ride watches.
Yeah, I mean, they've become a lot more active in this new arc, so I guess that makes sense.
Uh, so another Hibiki attacks them, and they decide, all right, we should. They decide to use their different like ride watches, and Sogo decides, hey, Hibiki's an ancient power, right? Why don't I use an ancient power? And he uses the Kuga watch for the first time in series, and Gaze is thinking, nah, man, for when you're fighting a demon, you want to use magic, and he uses the wizard watch. And I just like their reasoning here.
Yeah, yeah, that was actually pretty smart. Well, kind of. The weird thing is, like, I would have said like the decade choice in this matchup was better, where it's like, oh, an Oni, right? So I'm gonna launch my own monster, and he just summoned Kiva. I'm like, that's a better matchup than Kuga
But he doesn't
and
have the Kiva
Hibiki,
watch.
but he doesn't have the Kiva watch exactly. But like the Gates thing of, yeah, I'll just fucking stick with magic.
Yeah.
So like I personally think Gate made the better choice there. I mean, like Kuga's cool and all, but like I don't know. Like Wizard is a guaranteed win, whereas like Kuga is a little more dicey against Hibiki.
Yeah, Hibiki is pretty strong. And this is another Hibiki, so. Uh, uh, they don't get to finish the fight, though. They are interrupted by an actual Oni, Todoroki. Now, Zero, have you seen Hibiki?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen like most of it at 40s. I'm somewhere around there. Like I didn't finish it, but like I saw most of it,
You stopped
so I
within the
know who this
last,
guy.
like, 10 episodes.
Yeah, I stopped like probably less than that to
Cool.
go.
We got some stuff to talk about later. But for now,
Yeah,
Todoroki.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Todoroki showing up again, like one of the few Blade actors, or not Blade,
oh,
Hibiki actors who keeps coming back. Like it's Todoroki and fuck,
uh,
Jiro from Kiva.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, they're like the two Hibiki actors who come back. Oh, and plus like Xernos over here.
Yeah, Zero knows.
Like, yeah, like the
Who
three guys.
who shows up after the fight ends, and also, so the another Hibiki gets away because somebody shoots a fireball at Todoroki and interrupts his finisher. That was totally like
Yeah,
Kiria,
that's
right?
totally him.
Because
Yeah, that's what I was
the
thinking.
Oni can do that.
Yeah, they can. I mean, especially like the Hibiki style ones can do that.
Like he he clearly like wants to defeat another Hibiki himself, right?
I don't know what's going on there. Like
Well,
maybe he just wants to protect his student.
for protect his student. Oh
Right.
no,
Because his student
no,
is
uh,
the another Hibiki.
no. That
No,
is
what?
uh, what's his face? Sutomu is was the student to actual Hibiki, wasn't he? Yes, he was the student to actual Hibiki. Uh, Kiria,
Was he?
yeah, he was
Like, there's no guarantee.
in his
He says,
yearbook. In his
yeah,
yearbook,
yeah,
he
he says
says
Hibiki,
Hibiki.
right? But, right. But I don't know if it's actual Hibiki or it's this asshole calling himself Hibiki.
Uh,
Right? So
right.
the difference is, like, I don't fucking know which one. So my thinking was it's just Kirya after he became, like, Hibiki or Oni or whatever, was just going around calling himself Hibiki. Found
Uh,
this kid who reminded himself of him. I mean, like, the kid reminded, like, similar to how he used to be, so he decided to make him his disciple or whatever, and it fell apart because, of course, it fell apart. Like, he's a fucking train wreck. So, I mean, if he was the actual Hibiki's student, then that's even worse. Like,
uh,
why?
well, if he was actual Hibiki's student, then it would make sense. If he flunked out because he was too obsessed with power or something like that.
Maybe. I mean, he's like in great. What? Like, he was like 8 years old. How is that even possible?
So we're working on rough numbers here, but he would have been he would have like let's assume that that yearbook came out the same year that Hibiki's series takes place.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Wait,
Uh,
the series takes place?
Wait, no, he was in the same grade as Sogo, so he would have just graduated like Sogo did. So
Yeah, exactly.
so if
So it
he's
doesn't.
18 now, about 8 years ago was 2011, which was phew, 7 years after Hibiki's series.
Yeah, it's weird. Um, I don't know, man. Like the problem is until we see next episode, like they could fudge the numbers if they want. Because Tori tends to do that, so it's like there's no way of knowing was it actual Hibiki or was it this asshole.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, definitely the fireball was thrown by him.
Well, yeah, definitely the fireball. I'm thinking that because Kiria failed to inherit Hibiki's name, I'm thinking that he sees this as an opportunity to try and actually surpass him and defeat Hibiki. Then again, he does have that photo of them together, so maybe you are right.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like I don't see I like here's the thing. If this was like an actual show, then it would be like, oh, like this guy's gone off the deep end, so he just wants like the Hibiki title by beating another Hibiki, or he's just really trying to prove himself. But cause it's an anniversary series, and lately we've been kind of doing the feel good shit. Uh, it's unlikely he's gonna become that kind of character. He might just be like trying to save this character, and in doing that, will get himself some kind of redemption. So like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces going on around here, and not enough information. So like, we can just speculate all we want, but like,
But we're not getting anywhere.
yeah, we're not getting anywhere.
Alright, so moving on. So Kiria lies to Sogo and the others and calls himself Hibiki. Sogo asks if he has the Hibiki ride watch, and Kiria says, "No, but if I find it, I'll give it to you. If you can prove you're worthy of being an Oni." And so he starts giving them taiko drum lessons that Waz gets way too into.
Yeah, that was great because he's so bad at it, but he's so into it.
Because he thinks that he's properly celebrating Sogo's birthday.
Yeah, and then like later on, the revelation hits. Oh man, that was pretty fun too.
Uh, Tsukuyomi runs into Todoroki, has a pleasant chat with him, uh, and then later heads to where everyone else is to let them know that they found another Hibiki again. So while they all go run off to take care of it, she tries to get Waz's attention and calls him a fucking idiot. She doesn't actually, she just points out how he has no idea how to celebrate.
I know, it's great. Like, I love how like the other two just leave that idiot. He's not like, yeah, Tsukuyomi, you deal with him. And then she just gets fed up with his bullshit and just calls him out on it. That was so good.
So cut to Todoroki kicking another Hibiki's ass. Like, and then he does something that we never saw in Hibiki's series. He throws his fucking guitar at the monster.
No, they did it once.
They did?
Yeah, they do it every once in a while, but like it's very rare.
They usually just okay.
Uh,
Because I usually
like
just recall them
he has a
impaling it.
special. He does have a special finisher, but it gets used like once or twice only.
Right.
Or maybe it was in the fucking movie. I don't know. The point is, he's done it at least once.
But
But
then
yeah, it's super rare.
just freezes time and turns it around on him. Sogo and Gaze show up. More fighting. And then the stinger comes when Kiria shows up to join in the fight. He henshins, and Sogo realizes, like, Wait, that suit doesn't match the another rider. You're not Hibiki. So it turns out that he only receives his rider name in the stage show. He's only referred to as Kyoki there. He doesn't get one in the main series, and it turns out that they're going off of that here, where he canonically does not have his own name yet. He failed to inherit the Hibiki name.
I mean, that's good. Um, but it kind of leads into like, okay, is like actual Hibiki showing up next episode? Is somebody who inherited the power showing up, or is he
Well,
gonna become Hibiki? But that's nice that they're doing the thing of like, yeah, you didn't earn this, bro. So like, we're doing an anniversary series. We can tie that loose end. So that's a good plot point to pull out of Hibiki, I guess.
oh, and I guess they knock another Hibiki out of his henshin once, and Sogo recognizes his friend. But or just transforms him again. So what does that matter?
Yeah, which is like one of those annoying things where it's like Sogo's friends get like fucked up, or anybody who Sogo knows, and then like it looks like the Sogo's about to have like a heart-to-heart moment or trying to save them, and then like, oh no, Time Jacker just screwed that again, and then like once he helps them out, like they never show up again. It's like, oh man, such missed opportunities for characters.
Right? Where's
But I guess we can't all be Kiva.
where's another Zi-O?
Yeah, exactly. Where the hell is that?
I just rewatched the episode preview, and the way they frame it makes it seem like actual Hibiki does show up. It's only the suit, so we don't know if the actor is there, but at least the character does.
Right. I was thinking like maybe it's gonna be like
Asumu?
unlikely.
No, Asumu
Yeah,
quit. He's not
Asumu.
an Oni.
Yeah, but it's been like 10 years. They could say whatever the hell they want, or more than that.
Uh,
Like if they couldn't get Hibiki, they could just give him the voice over.
Right.
Like unlikely, but like it's possible. But I love how like fake Hibiki or Xernos shows up and he does like all the Hibiki like poses and like hand like
right.
greetings and stuff. I'm like, oh my
He's
god.
clearly trying to
guy.
be Hibiki. And
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's
right.
part of his problem. He's not being true to himself.
Right, because Hibiki is just a title, or actually, it's not even a title. It's just a
It's
like
just
Hibiki is Hibiki's title.
right.
Like
That's
it's his name.
Hibiki's name. It's not like Zonki, where the Zonki name was supposed to be inherited from master to pupil. Like Hibiki is Hibiki.
Right, because like his teacher was different, and like most of the other Oni, because you see like Akira and Ibuki, it's like you're not gonna become next Ibuki, Akira. You're just gonna become your own Oni, right? Once you finish your training, right? Like it's not a one-to-one. Like they don't pass their old gear to the next one. It's the new ones get their own gear.
Like in the
Right.
stage show, this guy becomes Kyoki. Like that's the name that he's given.
Yeah, which would be cool. We'll see if the show remembers that's how it works, or I mean, if Zi-O remembers that's how it works.
Who knows? I I think they've like been bringing back some of the old show writers to like help out with the specials lately.
I
Like
thought they were doing that from the beginning, but
I don't
it seems
know.
definitely lately.
Like lately, it seems like they've actually been cracking down on that. Uh, but final thoughts on this episode. This was a really good setup for a Hibiki tribute next episode. Because right now, what it feels like we're getting an epilogue to Hibiki. Like Hibiki had two students in the final arc, and then one of them quit and one of them stays. And we see the one that stays became an Oni, but now we're seeing kind of like what happened after that. So this feels like an epilogue to the show.
Yeah, which is nice because like it's always interesting. Like I'd rather it's like the Fi stuff, like it's interesting to see like Takami's character keep going, so it's always nice to see more story. Where they're doing it well, it's like, yeah, you've got these characters back. You never know if you're ever gonna get them back again. Like, if you're gonna do story, just write one decent small story and get it over with. As for this episode, it was okay. It's not like personally, I feel like it's one of the weaker ones we've gotten lately, but like it feels like it's just like this first half was supposed to be way more lighthearted, so I'm like, okay, it's doing what it was designed to do. Um, it all depends on how the payoff happens next episode, to be honest, to see how good this two-parter is. Because like part one was supposed to be lighthearted, and it's kind of like, if part two is also kind of so-so, then like this would be probably the first two-parter that's been so-so in like the new arc. So hopefully it delivers because Zio's been on a roll lately.
Yeah, they definitely set up for a really good part two. So I'm hoping that it delivers. Uh, uh, Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. This was a long one because we decided to do all three in one night. Don't know if that's going to keep happening. We'll be talking about it, but we'll see you next week for either our regular three schedule programs or maybe more of this. I don't know. We're going to have to talk about it. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, let us know if you like this format or the 3 days, three podcast format. Um, yeah, and then once this is done rendering, we'll put a timestamp for the different sections. Well, I mean, you're using different backgrounds, so it should be easy enough. But yeah,
Shit.
we'll put a
I forgot to change the
you.
backgrounds.
Oh my God, you've been
It's been Beast Morphers this entire time. Like I even had it
okay.
set up.
I'll
The all I had to do was press a button. Like, oh hey, boom, there's Ryusoulger. That's not that. There's Zi-O. Like completely intended to do it, walking in, and then just completely forgot to.
okay. I mean, YouTube put their editing software back in. I can try fixing it. Like I took out like 17 minutes or like 19 minutes of the last podcast. Shit, I
Oh,
should have gone
good.
and checked if that actually worked. But yeah, I can try editing it. We'll
Yeah.
see what happens. Anyway, let us know if you like this format, and then we'll talk about it ourselves and we'll figure out what happens next week. All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time.